Buckle up, because we're merging back into traffic on Radio Nemo's Nemo Nation.
Big thanks to Mike Rowe for not only dropping in, but getting us hip, because he's the one that turned us on to this next guest, by the way, in our own neck of the woods, Dave. In our own neck of the woods. Don't forget that Ike Stevens from Bonehead Trucker is going to be joining us at the top of the next hour. And then Dave and I are going to unpack what has been an amazing show. I mean, come on, Dave. This has been a great show.
It has been. We've bounced around here and there and really got some great insight from some wonderful people.
Isn't it funny, though, that we almost brought the whole thing to an end at the messy middle?
That's right.
I'm going to kind of point that out. We saved that for the end. And by the way, the first question that Dean Croak asked me when we had Mike drop in just the other week was, is he still in an RV? I'm like, yes, he is. Mm-hmm. Yes, he is, making the miracle happen. Dave, would you care to do the honors on the guest that Mike got us hip to?
Yes, we are going to welcome the Executive Director of Louisiana Clean Fuels. Ann Vail is with us. And, of course, just few days ago, they had a incredible summit, the Clean Fuels Summit in Baton Rouge. Ann, good morning. Are you in Baton Rouge right now, Ann? Good morning.
I am. Good morning.
It's great to have you with us here on the program, and really excited to hear what you learned and what needs to be done next. And boy, that's a long list, I'm sure, in terms of getting everything going. But we have some time, so we can stretch out and just have a great conversation here.
Fantastic. Yeah, so our Clean Fuels Summit was just October 1st and 2nd, and you know, I was working for a year to recruit all the speakers and the sponsors and exhibitors to bring down just the very best to Louisiana. And of course, Mike is one of those that I've been bugging him for ages to come down, and the stars finally aligned and we were able to get him down to be our keynote speaker. So it's been a journey.
Let me really quickly remind people you can go to LouisianaCleanFuels.org, CleanTransportationNetwork.org, and CleanFuelSummit.com are all the websites that you can check out. We'll remind you of them in a little bit. So talk about this all-of-the-above approach and how much of it actually was part of the conversation over at the event.
We make sure we have a conversation that is very open and honest about the different applications of all the different alternative fuels. It's kind of the same way Mike runs NACFE. When we're working with our stakeholders, we want them to be able to save money on fuel, to reduce their fuel usage, to reduce their emissions. That is the mission of our organization. But we want them to do it in a method that's going to work with them and work with their fleet. And that's why his run on less is always the showcase that he does is so important, because we get that data and we can show our stakeholders, you know, the local municipalities and fleets here in Louisiana, you know, real world data, and they don't just have to rely on what maybe a manufacturer or a organization that maybe just advocates for their one specific technology or fuel. We're kind of the boots on the ground that helps work with the local communities and helps them sort through all of this information to find out what's going to work best for them and help them meet their goals. I think the message that we heard loud and clear at the conference with our speakers, again, is there's lots and lots of options for you. It can get really confusing because there are a lot of options for you. And you don't have to go whole hog into just one particular fuel. You can, when you go to work, you're not just going to pick one tool to bring with you. Say if you work on a construction site, you need all the tools in your arsenal to do many different types of jobs. And that's how we look at the different technologies and fuels, is they're simply just different tools for your job, and you can pick the one that is best and most suited for the specific job you have.
Really quickly, I want to point out something, too. If you guys go to Louisiana Clean Fuels or any of the other websites I've mentioned, which I'll mention just a little bit again, one of the things I really dig about your organization is I find that there are two approaches to what we're talking about here. The first is the eat your broccoli crowd, which drive me crazy, because it's like, you know, you're going to eat your broccoli, you're not going to like it, and you're going to deal with what's coming down the pipeline. It doesn't get a lot of people excited. It doesn't get people happy about, you know, the idea of, even though it's really about efficiency, it's about productivity, it's about actually helping the bottom line, too many people kind of present this world as, well, you did this to yourself, so now you got to eat your broccoli, and you have to eat your broccoli for the rest of time, and tofu burgers. You guys take the other approach, which I love, which is called the neighbor with the latest and the greatest. There was always one cool kid or one cool neighbor on the block who always would get the latest technology. Some of it would be fantastic and work out of sight. Some of it would be like, well, that didn't work. Let's try something else. There really is a sense of adventure and fun, what you guys are talking about here. You want people to understand these are solutions and tools in a box that can make your life a whole lot easier. Can you talk about that? Am I making sense? Did I get that right? And can you talk about that approach?
Oh, exactly. Exactly. And whenever we have a stakeholder who does have that, I guess you say, the stomach for risk, and they want to be the first to market, they want to try out all the new technologies, we definitely ask them to be honest about what their experiences are like, because other people want to learn from that. But we also shine a light on the ones who do take those chances, and we show them off so they get a little FOMO too with the other fleets. They're like, oh, they don't want to miss out if somebody else is doing something cool and they're getting acknowledgement and recognition. It kind of builds excitement and a lot of, like you said, camaraderie, because we're learning from each other and we're helping each other out.
And this is Dave. One of the things that I really was impressed about in terms of who was speaking at the Clean Fuels Summit last week was the fact that you kind of really touched a lot of the bases. And Andre Champagne was there from Hollywood Trucks. And it is a clean fleet of trucks that, well, Hollywood is spot on, because they do NBC and Netflix and Apple and all of that stuff. To have but beyond the speakers, who attends this type of an event?
We have a very diverse crowd. It could be anything from public works folks at municipalities, sustainability teams. We get a lot of people from municipalities and universities. Some of the national fleets, our national partners, UPS, Republic Services, Waste Management, those are the ones that they're dedicated to reducing transportation emissions through all these different technologies. So they come and they support us and they work with us. Our transit system here in Baton Rouge, Capital Area Transit System, always comes to try to learn, and they also help to show off what they're doing. Other transit systems from across the state, universities, we get a little bit of everything: planning organizations, engineering firms, anyone who is just in the supply chain that wants to learn more and wants to network with other experts. We get a lot of different people at our event.
One of the things, we love phraseology here in our world, so the messy middle that Mike Roth and the folks at NACFE came up with is just perfect, right? And I asked Mike, he was on right before you here this morning, and I asked Mike, I said, well, now that the run for less is over, I guess we may be putting the messy middle in the rear view. And he basically said, no, we're not, because there's still a lot more up there. So let's take that messy middle idea. Is the Louisiana Clean Fuels Coalition, are you guys in the messy middle, if you know what I'm saying? Where are we, not just here in Louisiana, but state by state, city by city, municipality by, where are we? Have we even got to the middle yet? Or are we beyond it in some ways?
Yeah, it's right now, it's a lot of the same folk who are interested in alternative fuels and saving fuels. So utilities, of course, they're interested in utilizing, electric vehicles in their fleets. And the natural gas producers want to use natural gas in their fleets. And then the trash companies, the refuse companies, a lot of them are using renewable natural gas and natural gas in their fleets. UPS, they're a rolling laboratory. They're trying everything depending on where they are, and they want to use the fuel that is most available in the locality that they're at across the globe. There are some fuels I would like to see used more in our state because I think they would help with the transition. We produce a ton of renewable fuels, biodiesel, renewable diesel, and renewable natural gas. But the biofuels and the renewable diesel, it's with lack of incentives and lack of fueling options here in the state, we're shipping all of our fuel to other states that have incentives. So we produce a ton of it, but our local fleets don't have affordable access to it. So those are the kinds of fuels that help people hold on to their diesel vehicles longer and help them to run cleaner, and to make that transition a lot easier. Electric vehicles are growing in adoption in Louisiana. EV adoption is growing at a clip of about 35% among passenger vehicles here in Louisiana, and it's maintaining that pace. We'll see now that the end of incentives is gone if it keeps at that pace. Renewable natural gas, the use it's shifting. We have the same people who are using it, but they're using more of it. But our smaller fleets who utilize natural gas are going away because our public fueling infrastructure for natural gas is suffering, and we do need to give that a shot in the arm. That's one of the projects we're going to be trying to implement and take on this year is find some strategies to help reinvigorate the natural gas industry. So there is a solution for Louisiana fleets while we wait for hydrogen or electric vehicles to become more affordable and actually do the jobs that our fleets need them to do. They do a great job at some things, but the electric is not everything for everyone yet. So I'd say we're right in the middle of it. We just need to get more awareness out there to the rest of the fleets so they realize there is affordable options to just running their old diesels. Maybe even new diesels would be great.
Let me ask you a question. Like I said, it's a genuine question. I have no expectation of answer on this in regards to, it isn't like I'm not setting you up for a question I know the answer to, because I don't. So you get a national company like Republic Services, which, if I understand myself correctly, I know that a friend of ours actually is the general manager for the Baton Rouge segment of their waste and disposal services, Sharon Mann out there. One of the things that we talk to them about is that they use a lot of electric vehicles for garbage and waste disposal in neighborhoods, not just because they're doing the right thing, but because it also makes their customers like them a whole lot more, because it means that the kind of detritus that often comes at the tail end of a diesel operation or anything that isn't electric is not getting spread among residential neighborhoods. It also means that in the morning when you're sleeping, you don't hear all the crash and thunder of the rumbling of the trucks out there. My question is this: with a national company, do you find that they give you a little bit of leverage when another company shows up, a national company, a waste disposal company, a fleet shows up, and they're running that kind of stuff nationwide and they bring it to Louisiana? Are you able to forge partnerships so that, say, like somebody like Republic or one of the national carriers can come around and say, hey guys, look, could go to state government with you guys and say, look, we run this nationwide. It's actually improving the quality of life here in Louisiana. Maybe you should give this a look. It doesn't, we're going to keep on doing this because we've got all kinds of incentives everywhere else. But are you able to forge partnerships with people who run these alternative fuels as a way of kind of creating a little bit of pressure on our friends up in Baton Rouge?
Absolutely. And I know Sharon. They've been great partners with us. One of the things we help with Republic Services do is make sure that, the fire departments and the emergency first responders in their area know how to respond to incidents with whatever kind of vehicle that they're running, if they're running natural gas, if they're running electric. The electric trash trucks are fantastic, especially when you have smaller streets, you have smaller neighborhoods, or you're more densely packed. I'm really excited about the idea of us getting some of them in Baton Rouge. They're not currently running any of the electric ones in Baton Rouge, but we partner with fleets like that all the time. They come in, they bring their vehicles, they show it off. They sometimes speak at our workshops and our events, and some of them support us because we are a small 501c3 nonprofit, and we do have a membership program that Republic Services is a member of.
It's good to hear. By the way, just on a funny note, I've always told this story. I have no problem repeating it. My favorite piece of genius, we were talking about the Eureka idea, was Sharon's decision to hire just dozens of school bus drivers, female school bus drivers, to be part of her fleet, knowing that they would know how to handle those vehicles around precious cargo, meaning everybody else's children. Could not have asked for a better solution in regards to that. And I bring up Sharon and I bring up Republic Services because you guys have to kind of do that. You're always looking for partnerships. You're always looking for people who are willing to do some of the testing for you as well. Is there anything coming up right now that you're going to be looking at in the aftermath of your conference that you're really excited about in regards to the future of Louisiana alternative fuels?
Oh, right now we're just trying to hold our breath and hope too many of our clean transportation projects do not get cut. And we are in a bit of a funding crunch because of that. You know, we've been contracted to do some work, and now some of those projects are being halted, and no fault of our own. But the things that we're excited about is that the industry, the manufacturers, they don't plan on 4-year cycles. They plan, and they don't just operate on, you know, a statewide market. A lot of these companies are global companies. They're work on a global market. They have long-term goals. So momentum and the desire to use domestic fuels that are cleaner and better for the environment and better for the fleet themselves, as having just fewer repairs, more efficient, more uptime. That desire is always going to be there. So we're excited that our stakeholders are still excited, and we're going to be just working hand in hand with them to make sure that they have the right information and the right tools going forward.
Well, I want to kind of circle back a little bit to a guy that I mentioned earlier, Andre Champagne in Hollywood Trucks. What did he talk about?
Oh, gosh. So he started his company in Louisiana. You know, we had a booming movie industry, and way back before some of these technologies were even really advanced. We didn't have a Class 8 electric tractor back then, but we had solar. And he was doing everything he could to make these trailers and the vehicles and the transportation of them to be as efficient as possible. And now he's working directly with a lot of manufacturers. I know he is working with Tesla on a fun announcement soon that, you know, they believe that they're going to get to the point with their trailer and the Tesla tractor that trailer will be continually recharging the tractor as it drives. And they're truly shooting for completely off-grid, zero-emission vehicles. And these are the trailers. These are the movie trailers that the actors and actresses all reside in when they're on set. And they're beautiful. They're zero emission, and they're quiet. You don't have to worry about loud generators. So it was a really cool presentation. We did video and film every single one of these presentations, and once we get them cleaned up and edited, we will be putting them on the Louisiana Clean Fuels YouTube channel.
Whoa.
So you'll be able to watch yourself.
Hey, I'll tell you what, let us know, and we'll make those announcements, too, when you get those videos up, so our listeners will be able to head that way.
Talk about strategies, and like I said, you know, we have a lot of sympathetic ears out there. There's a lot of folks who are listening right now who are over-the-road truck drivers, and then they tend to carry a little more. I hate to put it this way because, you know, one of the things that is so attractive about your organization is that it is committed, as I said, to having people have a good time, take some chances, figure out what the next part of the economy looks like, as opposed to the eat your broccoli crowd out there. And it means it's going to have a much more sympathetic ear with a lot of our friends who are driving trucks over the road, who are the majority of our listeners. You can speak directly to them if you'd like about how they can help make sure that both at the state and the federal level, you continue to get your funding, you continue to be allowed to kind of experiment and help people like Mike find that messy middle, find out what the future is going to be. What can they do? What can the people who support us do to support you?
Well, one thing is we want to make sure that, you know, just because we have the word clean in the name of our organization doesn't mean that we're an eat your broccoli, like you said, kind of organization. And we did get a lot of funding for electric vehicles over the last few years, but if when organizations fund us to do work, that's the work we're going to be, doing. But if you're going to be talking to your elected officials, ask them about the Department of Energy's Clean Cities and Communities program. We were appropriated money in 2025 that we have not gotten. We've been doing this work for the federal government. I am an independent nonprofit, but we've been doing this on behalf of the Department of Energy for over 30 years. And we've always taken a fuel agnostic approach. And we're there to serve the community and do these things at the community level. There's so much news out there and misinformation and just tons of technology. We're the ones that are living with you in the same community, your neighbors, and helping businesses to sort through all of this information. But when it comes to trucking, those guys and ladies, they're very regulated. There's so much that they have to be concerned with the regular jobs, whether it's the lawsuits, people trying to run them off the road and then sue them, or the mandatory sleep hours and all the regulations that they have. It's kind of hard to go to a company like that and say, hey, change all your vehicles to the most expensive thing you can imagine, and then you're going to have to retrain everybody and rebuild your facilities. That's really tone deaf of an organization
By next Tuesday.
Go approach it like that. Yeah, that is really tone deaf. So that's not what we are. We're an organization that wants to look at what your goals are and how can we make small incremental change to get you where you want to go in a way that is most helpful. So that's what we are. That's what we do.
Louisiana Clean Fuels is part of the Clean Transportation Network, and there's a long list of organizations, some states, some local, some groups. But one of and I'm looking at the website right now, and the 3 pillars of impact, deployment, okay, that we're kind of talking about that a little bit, demonstration, real world validation. Well, Mike and the gang there at NACFE are doing that. You guys are doing that. But the first one here, I kind of went in reverse order. The first one is demystify, awareness and education. On a scale of 1 to 10, in terms of John Q. Public, how demystified is he right now? You know what I'm saying? Is the word out there to the people yet? The industries, trucking, all of the industries that use this stuff.
Because some of the folks that we have on our chat room and some of the folks that we talk to on a daily basis, a lot of them think that some of this stuff is groovy. They think it's a little bit too expensive sometimes, but you have more friends than you possibly know. That's one of the big surprises people have. But Dave's right. Kind of go back to it. How much more progress do we have to make with John Q. Public?
Oh, so much. And just the way, I wouldn't say the media. A lot of people blame the media. I think it's more social media, and it's real journalism and real journalists like you guys, y'all are getting the right information out there. And what's hard to compete with is it's kind of like the big machine of misinformation that's out there on social media. For a small organization like us, it does feel like we're trying to sail against the wind or whatever, and running uphill, whatever comparison you could make. It is difficult to get the information out. So the Clean Transportation Network is basically a new organization where all of us, the Clean Cities and Communities Coalitions, which comes from the Department of Energy Efficiency Renewable Energy Division, they created us so that we could go out and teach the public. We don't necessarily have the right mechanisms to do this on a larger scale. So we're pulling together in an attempt to get the word out together to try to improve national awareness. And I'm sorry, you probably hear the rain. I'm sitting in my car right now.
It sounds fantastic. It sounds, by the way, we're Louisianians. We're in New Orleans, so we totally get it. You're fine. We got it instantly.
That was us yesterday.
Yeah. So apologies for that. So that's what the Clean Transportation Network is. And if you Google Clean Cities and Communities, you'll see the federal program with which we're a part of. And because we have not been getting paid by them in the last couple of quarters, the Clean Transportation Network is also taking up the mantle to take on projects and programs and try to raise funds so we can keep this national initiative of boots on the ground people who are vested in your interests and the businesses in our communities, not any other, one particular solution. We're there to help you. We're trying to keep this going. We're trying to keep it funded, and we're going to find another way. So that's what the Clean Transportation Network is doing, is trying to solve the problems, the things that the federal government can't do to pay, and the things that they have just decided to sit on for a while, is the best I can explain to that. So, we're just kind of trying to pick ourselves up and save this thing that has been so important to so many fleets and for advancing clean transportation technologies for over 30 years. We just don't want it to die. So that's what the Clean Transportation Network is.
By the way, I'm going to start calling you fuel optimistic agnostics. The optimistic agnostics is what you guys are. Dave's got one more final question before we shuffle off this radio call.
Yes.
And this is a question I should have asked you early on, but for our listeners, give us a little history of Louisiana Clean Fuels.
Sure. So we've been around for 25 years. We're celebrating our 25th anniversary.
Congratulations.
And when,
Yes.
Thank you. Our founders were actually from the natural gas industry. We had an engineering firm. We had one of the natural gas utilities. And, natural gas vehicles were new. And they were trying to get projects up and going in the area, working with the community, teaching them about doing this all on their own, just as part of their regular jobs. And this new thing called Clean Cities was popping up. And when our founders were looking to get some funding for some projects, and then they were talking to the Department of Energy, they said, "Oh, you don't have a Clean Cities Coalition, so this is a great project idea, but we're actually going to go give this money to this group in Texas that has already formed a Clean Cities Coalition, and we're going to work with them." And that's when they got the idea of well, we need to figure out what this Clean Cities thing is. But Clean Cities was started after the Clean Air Act, and then, the Department of Energy. And so they started working on designation. You have to prove that you have stakeholder support. You have to start holding meetings and start teaching and educating like we do now before you can get designation as a Clean Cities Coalition. And they received designation in the year 2000 after many years of work. And, back then, natural gas was the most popular fuel, and that's mostly what people wanted to learn about, and that was the heyday back in the Recovery Act. We got lots of federal funding, and it's just kind of grown from there. We started off serving the 5-parish original non-attainment zone around East Baton Rouge, West Baton Rouge, and such. And when I came on board in 2012, we were in the middle of the process of expanding to the rest of the state. So about 2013, we changed our name from Greater Baton Rouge Clean Cities Coalition to Louisiana Clean Fuels and took on the rest of the state, except for the area covered by our sister coalition in New Orleans, the Southeast Louisiana Clean Fuel Partnership, which is hosted in the Regional Planning Commission offices over there.
Ann, we're out of time. We can't thank you enough for making time. Congratulations on 25 years, and everybody over here is rooting for 25 more. The optimistic agnostic has joined us this morning. Thank you so much, Ann. I hope you're okay. Be safe. Be well. Thank you so much for the call. And guys, everybody can hear the rain in the background. So everybody, if you're out there in that kind of inclement weather, make sure you do what Ann did. Pull over. Pull over if you can't make the journey.